Hey everybody, it's Lesley Dale with the TFP, and joining Ellis and I is our reporter Shelly Bradbury back from Amnicola, where there was a chemical spill at the Coca-Cola plant.
Any breathing problems? Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I think they kept us pretty far back, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bruce Garner with the fire department, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what happened?
Well, it sounds like about 10:40 today, some workers over there at the Coca-Cola plant on Amnicola Highway were mixing chemicals and something went wrong and some chlorine dioxide spewed out and injured a guy. So it got on this man and he was taken to the hospital with fairly serious injuries.
I'd imagine 250 gallons of chlorine. Well, why don't you go
Chlorine dioxide.
He is very into this.
I've been
chemical.
brushing up on my chemistry, and according to the Centers for Disease Control, the symptoms of chlorine, it's used to purify water. It's like kills bacteria and
That's
stuff.
how the Coca-Cola plant people use it too.
Yeah.
Is to purify water.
But it's also very strong. You're not supposed to let it touch your skin or anything. The symptoms are irritation of the eyes, nose, throat, a cough, wheezing, bronchitis, a pulmonary edema, and chronic bronchitis. And it targets the eyes and respiratory system specifically. So it's it has its uses, but it's really toxic if you get it on you or in you.
Yeah, and it can also explode fairly easily.
Yes.
So if it's like contaminated or if it gets below a certain temperature.
So do we know if this has happened before at this plant? Do we know that?
Bruce had said he doesn't remember it happening recently. So it has been a while since something like this has happened.
Yeah, and he's been the spokesman for the fire department for a long time here in Chattanooga. So
yeah, for a while.
So what was going on at the scene? We have some pictures. Obviously not.
Yeah, so
nothing too.
This is the container that the chlorine dioxide was in. It's like a big plastic tote with some steel rods kind of surrounding it. And when we got there was a big, what looked like a cloud of smoke, but it was actually a cloud of this chlorine dioxide vapor.
Oh, okay.
So a toxic cloud of leaking chemicals.
Alice would have been very interested in that.
Filling the air. Which is why we stayed very far back and let the hazmat team handle it. But the firefighters were pouring water on top of it to keep the leak contained, and then they're going to figure out like what to do with the rest of the chlorine dioxide, which is still in the container.
And we mentioned this is at the Coca-Cola plant. Yeah, for those who don't know, that's the 4,000 block of Amnicola Highway.
So traffic, what's it looking like now?
Yeah, it was a mess actually. So they closed down the entire northbound half of Amnicola Highway for a while. And then they just opened it up so it's one lane maybe about 15 minutes ago. So if you're going that way, don't go that way.
Don't go that way.
Yeah,
there's lots of other ways to go.
It's backed up
Take 153.
A couple miles, I would say, or a mile.
And again, department spokesman Bruce Garner did want everyone to know, he says there is no danger to the public. So
yes, they contained the leak at the site.
Okay, well, we'll keep you updated on the employee, the man who was injured pretty severely, he said, and taken to the hospital. So
no word on his condition yet.
He's still being assessed, and we don't know how old he is or who he is, but that should come out at some point today.
Awful.
Hope for the best for him.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to turn to update you on some crime that we talked about yesterday. We got word in right before our broadcast to you that a woman who was stabbed in September ended up dying yesterday, and it turned out to be a woman story that you covered. Is that right?
Yeah.
Pretty hard story, if you want to go over it. Husband allegedly involved.
Yeah, it sounds so. This woman died on October 1st, but she was stabbed. Her husband allegedly stabbed her on September 26th.
Okay.
So go back to September 26th, and he told police, according to court records, he told police that he overheard his wife talking on the phone to another man, got upset, and went to confront her about it. And
grabbed a knife on the way.
Yeah, he grabbed a knife because he said he wanted to scare her into giving up her phone. So he grabbed a knife from the kitchen, and then he said they got into a struggle, and he said he remembered stabbing her 4 times. She was stabbed more times than that. She was stabbed in the back, in the leg, in the neck, and the chest. So she was in pretty bad shape when officers arrived.
This was on Navajo Drive in Brainerd.
And her name, is it
Jessica Ruiz,
Ruiz, okay, only 29 years old. And so he's admitted this.
Well,
So
according to police, he's admitted it.
according to
Yeah.
police.
But he's
Okay.
put it as it was a struggle. She kind of went after him, and he was defending himself. Is that what
He
he's
said he was trying to leave during the
Trying to
attack,
leave.
so he was injured. His leg was bleeding, which he said he fell when he was trying to get away. But it's kind of unclear exactly what happened. Then she hung on for a few days. She went through some surgeries, but then she did pass away on October 1st.
Okay.
And he's been charged with criminal homicide. So
And what is
he
his
currently
name
in
here?
jail. I don't
Zacharias?
remember. Yeah,
Rufino?
Zacharias.
Okay, we have that information for you on our website, and
This is a dumb question, but criminal homicide, that means he didn't, it's not murder. That means he didn't want to do it ahead of time.
It's not quite as serious as murder. So, like, first degree murder is premeditated, whereas criminal homicide could be, it's still an unlawful killing, but it wasn't necessarily like you plotted
He didn't
it out
think
for
about
a
going
long
in there to
time.
stab her. They don't
Yeah.
believe he did anyway.
At least at this point, he's not charged with that yet.
okay, and let's get into the state of the city's homicides that you've been reporting on. So, 29 so far this year.
I think that's correct, yeah.
And more women than,
Yeah, we've had a uptick in the number of women killed this year, which is really interesting. I think we've had 11, which is almost a third of our women killed, and we don't usually see that many women killed in the city. We wrote about that. I wrote about that a couple weeks ago. The police department has said that women are becoming more involved in gang activity, and so they're being targeted more frequently. Usually, the women killed in Chattanooga are killed in domestic incidents. Like it sounds like
this may have
the
been.
stabbing, yeah. But yeah, we've seen sort of more street violence taking women's lives this year. So
And our columnist Jay Greason wrote an interesting piece about the violence initiative not working.
well, he was,
potentially.
the city council was talking about it, and they were asking, I can't remember the name of the organization, Hope for the Inner City
Yeah.
or something, whatever it was. There's a couple of these groups that are bidding for the right to do the social services side of the violence reduction initiative. And the city council members were saying, well, okay, we'd like to think about awarding this grant to you or this contract to you. How are you going to measure your success with doing this? And they said, I'm paraphrasing, but they said essentially, gee, I don't know, that's a good question. We'll have to get back to you on that. And so he was saying, well, a couple of years into this thing, shouldn't we have some sort of measurements?
3 years.
Yeah,
he was
3 years
mentioning.
now
Yeah.
in. Shouldn't we have some sort of measuring stick for whether we're doing well or not yet? How is it that we don't have that? Essentially is what his column was asking. On the social services side, now the police do have some measurements that they do on the violence side, right?
Yeah, so that's another good thing to read if you're on the web and you want to find out about different takes on all of this. But we do know for a fact 29 homicides in the city so far, more women than we've seen. So thank you for joining us. She just
Yeah.
got back from Amnicola and is updating
She's
everything.
got a lot more to do.
So
We'll have more updates on
yeah,
that.
we'll have more updates on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shelly.
Thank you.
And we're going to update you on a very unusual trial that is actually going on without the suspect, the murder suspect. We told you about this young man yesterday, Christopher Paget. He apparently, in the middle of his trial, went home. He was on bond, which is also strange. Somehow got the GPS monitor off of his ankle, maybe by some scissors, which we find strange
They found
too.
scissors nearby. They don't know, you can try to put two and two together, but nobody was there. Nobody saw what he did. But you had the cut ankle bracelet, and then you had the scissors, and so.
So yesterday we told you about this with our reporter Zach Peterson, and everything I keep saying strange, but the update today is the trial is continuing, and police are still searching for the murder suspect, Christopher Paget. And this goes all the way back 4 years ago when he is accused of getting into a man's cab, killing him, and taking his fares. So shooting him, a 31-year-old.
Supposedly the cab driver had posted something on social media showing a wad of money, including, I guess, it was like a large bill that was visible. And the gentleman who's accused of killing this cab driver called him up.
Gentleman. Suspect.
He may not be a gentleman.
Suspect.
Yeah, called
We're
him
gonna
up,
stick with that.
and then shot him and took his money. That's what police say happened. So this was in the middle of the trial. Then fast forward to the present. In the middle of the trial, yesterday morning or late last night, he apparently was able to get rid of his ankle monitor, by cutting it or whatever, and has disappeared. And so the judge yesterday in the courtroom, he said, "Is he here? Is Christopher Paget here?" and there was no response, and so he dismissed the jury. They kind of talked a little bit yesterday, and then they've decided today to go ahead and continue the trial with or without him. So if he's found guilty, I guess his attorney is still there, but if he's found guilty and they catch him, then he'll just face the usual punishment. And I guess it's up to authorities and bail bondsmen and others to kind of track him down.
Yeah, it's very, very strange story.
But, what's interesting, we talked to Zach yesterday about these ankle bracelets, and they sell different types of ankle bracelets to people, and some of them are just, just a band, whatever, and then others have this cut-proof, I guess, depending on what you've got to cut things with, but a stainless steel band that goes around the ankle monitor. And so it's not clear what kind of ankle monitor this is, but there are some models where they recognize that suspects may attempt to cut their GPS monitor so that they're not able to be tracked. And so I guess it's up to law enforcement whether they buy that model or they go with a cheaper one. We don't know what type was used in this particular incident. But.
And I have more questions about how this works too. We need to look into this more. So there's a supervisor for county probation officers who is in charge of following up with this GPS monitor, bracelets, whatever. So this guy is saying that he woke up at 6 a.m., saw a text alerting him to a problem with Paget's device around 1:43 a.m. Then this officer called the suspect's mother 3 times, 6:08, 6:12, 6:14. She finally called him back at 6:31 before, the trial was supposed to go on that day, and saying the device was still plugged into a wall. My question is, if somebody is alerted, an officer who's in charge of overseeing this at 1:43 in the morning, what happened to the 5 hours in between him?
So it was 5 hours between.
Yeah,
him?
So he was alerted at 1:43 a.m. by a text message. That's probably some sort of protocol.
Yeah, probably an automated thing, like when you try to sign in to your Facebook and you get a little message.
Then, according to Zach's story, it's saying, I'm playing detective. So the officer woke up at 6 a.m. and saw this alert. But that's a problem, though.
Yeah,
if a suspect goes missing through the night, and this officer is a probation officer in charge of tracking someone's whereabouts.
And they've already got a 4-hour head start or a 5-hour head start.
So a 4 or 5 hour head start. That seems like a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can almost get to Charleston, South Carolina in 6 hours. So, I mean, you could be anywhere.
So we'll ask Zach about that. Zach Peterson, he may already be looking into the protocol, but I certainly would be interested.
Seems like it should go to the 911 center or somebody who's in a position to do something about it
immediately.
If somebody's about to, make a break for it.
Especially
if they're a murder suspect and they're out on bail.
Bond, yeah. Do we have any questions on our social media? I know people.
Let's check.
Yesterday, just were really surprised that someone would have made bond a few days before a murder trial. So that's up to a judge in the case, and we talked about that yesterday. There's a lot of factors that a judge considers making that decision, like what the crime is, what priors the suspect has, if the judge thinks that person is a flight risk or a danger to the public, things of that nature, and then they decide on the actual bond amount. It goes on to the bail bondsman and all of that. So that happened a few days before the trial. So I know a lot of people on social media couldn't believe that went on in the first place, and they're arguing, well, if he wouldn't have been bonded out, if he would have been in jail during the trial, then we wouldn't be in this place. So there's a lot of questions about this, for sure.
Well, we do have a question, rewinding a little bit to the Coca-Cola chemical spill up there in Amnicola. Anita Phillips was asking, is it going to get in the river? Officials say the spill is contained on site. The fire department, there's actually a police emergency services center and fire department emergency service center right there on Amnicola Highway. They were able to get there, and fire department officials say that they were spraying water on the container to kind of contain it in a way the container didn't. And so it did not leave the site. So all the spillage happened on site, was kept on site. One person was injured, taken to the hospital, but they don't believe that there's any danger to the general public. The chemical that spilled is used to purify water, So,
He knows all about
so
that.
maybe it would have cleaned the Tennessee River. Who knows? But that didn't happen. It didn't go in the
So
river.
it's used to purify water. And tell us again, scientist, what that
Chlorine dioxide. For those of you keeping track at home.
Spent probably 30 minutes looking into
You can
that.
go to the Centers for Disease Control and research it yourself. You don't want to
Thank
get it in
you.
your eyes, and you don't want to breathe it in. Both of
Okay.
those things are very bad.
All
So,
right.
Anita, thanks for your question. That's probably more information than you wanted, but you asked, so.
So there you go. And we have some good news we're going to be talking about a little later in the day for our Weekend Warriors segment.
Yes.
T.O. Terrell Owens is tweeting.
He claims that he's coming to Chattanooga.
He's in an airplane, apparently, on Twitter. You guys can look him up. And he's like nodding his head.
Now, he's a
listening-
famous hockey
listening
player,
to
or he
music.
does
No.
baseball. What is
No,
he?
isn't he football?
I'm just joking.
What
Yeah,
are you
it's football.
talking about? Oh my God.
He's football.
I mean, it's not Michael Jordan. I mean, so anyway, sorry, T.O. But so he's like nodding, listening to his music, and then if you listen really closely to his tweet, he says, "Go Mocs."
Yeah,
So,
and he's come here previously. He was a
Yeah.
UTC mock and played on the team for a little while, and then went on to stardom in the NFL and as a commentator for the.
he was also on Dancing with the Stars.
He was on
once.
Dancing with the Stars, an excellent dancer, much better than myself.
Oh.
So we will.
We're gonna
catch a glimpse of
yeah,
him,
maybe we
hopefully.
show you the airport.
Yeah.
Hey. And then we have also a really cool story about a girl playing football, a lineman for Grundy County High School. Line woman, right? Good. Politically correct there. So anyways, she is on varsity. She's a captain, but she has yet to play a game on varsity. She played on JV, but this girl, we have her name, I think it's pronounced Kirsten. But the story sports editor Stephen Hargis put out there, I believe he wrote it, but it's on our sports section of the web, and she's saying she's faced a lot of not so nice things from other girls at the school.
Really?
And a lot of adversity about her playing, and even coach was saying he's scared to let a woman or a girl into a violent Friday night game, but all she wants to do is play. So let her play,
And if
coach.
she's good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, put her on the field and see how she does.
Yeah, and he actually mentioned like he can't shake like this Southern mentality he has about letting
Women getting hit.
Yeah, so she's enduring it. She says like despite all of these high school stuff you face with other girls and stuff like that, and being the only girl on a football team is a huge deal. It's a really brave thing to do. So anyway, she wants to play. So tonight might be the night, and it might not be the night. So that's a really good story.
Well, there's always tons of drama in high school, and all that. None of that's going to matter when she gets to college and gets out of college. So
she's definitely a
keep your head screwed on straight.
a
Yeah,
cool,
you'll be fine.
brave woman. And also, Weekend Warriors is looking into what you have to do this weekend. I'm excited. I'm sporting my Dixie Chicks shirt because Jennifer Nettles, another country strong chick, is coming here to the Tivoli, so I think I associated them together. Country
So
strong
when you hear
women.
Dixie Chicks, you think Jennifer Nettles?
I think of a strong country singing woman, so
Okay.
I think I just like put it all together
it's in the
that
ballpark.
way. Yes. So, anyways, I'm going. I'm excited, but she's bringing along this kid. He's like 18, who was on The Voice. His name is like Zach Sebo. A lot of the young ladies liked him, but anyways, Barry told me about that, and that's in Chattanooga now. So if you go on Facebook, I just type in Chattanooga now.
Yeah,
up at
we're the
front.
only Chattanooga now that exists. So if you type
Yeah.
it in, you'll find it.
So that story is there, but that should be really good. He was on Blake Shelton's team. I watched that season, and really, really, really good. And there's tons of other stuff going on this weekend, so we're gonna bring all of that to you. Are you doing anything fun?
I'm really excited. I don't know if I'll be able to make it, but the Chattanooga Public Library is showing some old films,
Yeah, you told me
including
about that.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So I might dip in and check that out, and we'll have more for you on that in a later segment.
Yes. See you guys later. I'm
Bye.
still like coming off of that. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Catherine Cassidy, Editor-in-Chief of Taste of Home, and our live cooking school is coming to your town. You'll get a sneak peek behind the scenes at America's #1 cooking and entertaining magazine. We'll teach you how to make classic American dishes and show you some of the all-time best recipes from Taste of Home. So gather your friends and family and join us for the most delicious event of the year.